Indigenous Australians are believed to have lived in Australia for up to 150,000 years. They are part of the longest running culture in the history of humankind. When Captain Cook arrived from Europe, he saw Australia as an unclaimed land. Because the Indigenous Australians did not have houses or streets or anything like the cities in Europe, Captain Cook claimed Australia for the British. And so the Indigenous Australians were pushed to one side as more and more Europeans arrived to colonise Australia. In 1901, Australia officially became a country in its own right and held its first parliament on the 9th of May. Edmund Barton was the first Prime Minister of Australia. Two of the biggest events in Australia's recent history are the two World Wars. When World War I broke out, Australia honoured its allegiance to Britain, and many Australian men went to war. The fighting took place in Europe, a long way from Australian shores. But it was when World War II broke out in 1939 that Australia really became under threat. The Japanese were invading south down the Pacific towards Australia. The Japanese even reached Australian shores when Darwin was bombed. In 1967, Australia finally passed a referendum that acknowledged Indigenous Australians as citizens. Most felt it was long overdue, but were happy that it had finally happened. Then in 2008, Kevin Rudd apologised to the Indigenous Australians involved in the stolen generations, marking a historic day for our country. It was cause for much celebration and another step towards reconciling the troubled past of Indigenous Australians.